All right, good evening and formally welcome to this session, which fundamentally talks about how do you manage to continue your PCC journey in the midst of life and chaos that happens in life, because chaos is the norm, right? And peace is something that happens in between. Is that your experience or it's the other way around for you? How many of you feel that chaos is the norm and peace is what happens in between? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, right. So, how do we manage PCC in this chaotic life which we have with integrity? Sometimes I don't even realize we are in chaos. It's so much around us, right? That we're not even aware. It's like being in a fog and not knowing that we are in a fog. Till the fog clears and we say, oh, I was in a fog. I wasn't aware I was in a fog. So, why we chose this topic today is because over the years, it's been my experience that people who have been on the PCC journey have struggled. Okay. And then when they have struggled, they have either compromised areas of their life for doing PCC or they have dropped the ball when it comes to doing the PCC. So, how do we manage so that it doesn't have to be this or that, but we get into a state of this and that? And what that will mean in terms of what else it will make available for us if we learn how to do this and that instead of constantly having to choose between this or that. Because we really never want to give up anything that we are holding close to us, right? We want to have it all. So how do we do that? So that is what the today's session is all about. Yeah. And the premise is, the hypothesis is that it is possible. So I'm going to conduct this session with that hypothesis that it is possible. And if it is possible, then how do we make it happen? So I'm not asking, is it possible? It's possible. How do we make it happen? Okay. So what I've done is I have compiled a few questions that commonly get asked and the concerns that commonly people have. And I'm going to sort of speak to these questions. And then I'm going to look at anyone has any other question which is beyond what we are going to be talking about. Okay. So it's about pausing and reflecting. So these questions are kind of for us to pause and reflect. Yeah, what does it mean for me? What is coming up for me as I'm reflecting on this question and looking for the answers from within me? So consider, how do I stay committed to PCC through life's ups and downs? So life will have ups and downs. And I was just sharing with somebody the other day that, as we grow older, we have more and more challenges that come in our way because our responsibilities get added on. So we are children, we have no responsibilities or very few responsibilities, and we have built our capacity to handle those responsibilities. Then we start working, we take on more roles, we expand and we manage those roles. Then our status changes and we have a partner or we get married, and then we have aging parents or aging in-laws, and we have our own health issues and children and their education and their health, and our work and ups and downs in work, relationships with employees, relationship with managers, with bosses, transition, relocation, moving to some different place, physical relocation, all that is happening. Now, much of it we do not have any control over. Some of it we might have control over sometime, but we cannot assume that we can control the circumstances of our life or the environment in which we are living. We can control it and manage it and make it happen exactly the way we want it. So while things are happening over there, how do we still stay committed to PCC? I'm going to use this word PCC and I'm going to replace it with how do we stay committed to anything for that matter? Anything that is important to you in your life, how do you stay committed to that through ups and downs? What exactly do you do? How do you manage? Anyone wants to take a shot at how you manage, not with PCC, anything else in life?
Rekha, you just decide you never give up. Yeah.
Okay. And what makes you decide you never give up?
Because the goal is much more important than where you are right now, probably.
Yeah. Because it's something important for you, right?
Yes,
And what is important for one may not be important for another. And what is important for you now may not remain important for you tomorrow, and so on, isn't it?
totally, totally.
It's not a static thing that, this is important for me from now till ever. I remember when I had signed up to do my PhD program in Ahmedabad, I went through the entire coursework and I was so proud of myself, that after about 25 years of gap in education, I'm actually signing up for such an intense program, and I'm clearing the coursework with A grades and B grades, and I have a guide from IIM Ahmedabad to guide me. And then I just gave it all up. Now, someone might say that, you shouldn't have done that. You're committed to it. You should stay the course. You should push through and so on. But I started having fundamental questions like, why am I even doing this PhD? And then I realized that the reason why I had started it off was itself not um, it was not my reason. I was doing it to prove to someone else something. It was not a reason which would have sustained. It was not a reason which would have made me feel good about myself. But I suffered so much till I dropped the program because it was like a hanging sword on my head. I'm neither moving on it nor I'm dropping it. And because I am still stuck to it, other things in my life are taking a hit. And so everything was like so messy. And then when I dropped it, there was so much relief, and I could actually focus on other things which were important for me with so much more commitment. Has that ever happened to you that, you're not able to find out why you're doing it, and then you are still holding on to it, and then you drop it, and then you experience relief? Of course, I experienced guilt. Of course, I experienced blame. Of course, I experienced shame also. And of course, I became small and I had to field questions like, you are not able to stay the course, and what is your level of commitment, and so on and so forth. But I know what I was going through, and each one of us knows how we are and what our life is all about. And except for us, nobody else can have a clue, right? Nobody else will know what exactly is happening to us. So, how do you stay committed? You stay committed because you have a purpose. You stay committed because it is important for you. Then, what happens if it suddenly doesn't become important? Will you just give it up like I gave up? Well, there have been people who have dropped out of the ACC journey, dropped out of PCC journey. The question is, are you dropping out because of conviction, or are you dropping out because you feel you cannot manage? If it is the first, then it is your choice, well thought out choice. That's not an issue. But if it is the latter, that I'm giving up because I don't know how to manage, then all you need to know is, how do I manage? And get back on if it is important for you, right? But you really wouldn't want to give up on something which is important for you. So that's how you stay committed. You stay committed by constantly reinventing the purpose of being in that journey. And let me tell you that more often than not, the reason why we start the journey may not remain the same through the journey. I had some idea in mind as to why I want to do the PCC for XYZ reasons. Now, as I start the journey and as I start moving through it, I start finding that some of those reasons are either irrelevant or they're not as exciting as they were earlier. So, reinvent. Every relationship in life needs reinvention, whether it is relationship between two people, or whether it is relationship between you and yourself or you and things around you. You have to refresh and reinvent it, otherwise it becomes stale and it dies out. Does this make sense? Yeah, give me a thumbs up because I can't see all of you because of the slides. So if it is making sense to you, just let me see that it is making sense to you. Got it. Thank you. Yeah, get allies to help you. I'm just going through the chats in the meantime. So you get someone to be your ally. You can do that also, but the ally will only help you to that extent. The internal commitment and the purpose has to come from inside you. Nobody from outside can give it to you. Or if they give it to you, you will not own it. It will not be yours, right? Then how do I navigate periods of transition while continuing my PCC journey? I'm just moving on. They're all connected, but I'm just kind of trying to see if I can address each one individually. So what kind of transitions will you have? You will be transitioning in a job, you might be transitioning in your life positions. You might be transitioning physically, you might be relocating, and how do you navigate these periods of transition? Because every transition will have a period of adjustment, right? There will be new responsibilities, there will be unknown factors, new variables, new things to learn, new things to get adjusted to. And while you're doing that, how do you manage this? So my answer to that is that you navigate it by making PCC a part of your life. Make this journey a part of your life like you make so many other things like brushing your teeth part of your life. We don't have questions like how do I navigate this period of transition while continuing my physical hygiene. You don't ask such questions, right? So if we make PCC a part of our lives, instead of making life a part of PCC, I'm saying make PCC a part of your life. The difference, Vikas had asked this question, the difference between an ACC journey and a PCC journey fundamentally is an ACC journey is a short journey. It's like a sprint. PCC is a marathon. So you do not run, you do not sprint while running a marathon, right? You will burn out, isn't it? You have to jog. You have to go slow. Sometimes you have to take a pause. That is the way you need to do your PCC. Slowly and steadily. Not let me finish it off and then I will focus on the rest of my life. So one of the things that we insist on is we do not want any breakdowns happening in your life because of PCC. That is totally going out integrity in life. We don't want relationships to be suffering. We don't want your jobs to be suffering. We don't want your careers to be suffering simply because you're focusing on PCC. That's not the way to do it. Then your environment is not going to be supporting your journey ever. If you want your environment to support your journey, which you need to have your environment supporting your journey, you have to manage the environment while doing your PCC. So this is something that I have seen learners do in their PCC journey is that they're somehow trying to push through the hours. Let me manage the hours. Let me do hours. 10, 15, 100, 200, 250, 300. First of all, that's not going to make you a quality coach. If you're making it a number game, it's not going to make you a quality. If it's about quantity, then quality is going to be suffering. How do you manage? So that is what we talk about productivity in an organization, right? Where we're talking about efficiency as well as effectiveness, not one at the cost of another. So you cannot be doing your PCC at the cost of your life. And that is the challenge and that is the opportunity. If I do my PCC in integrity with the rest of my life, I'm going to be building skill and competence to be able to manage other journeys in parallel with other things of my life. That is not a competency or that is not a quality. That is the purpose of PCC, but you're going to get it as a side benefit. I have learned in the PCC journey, I have learned how to do this, that, and the other without having to do this or that, and without sacrificing or compromising one for the other. That's a beautiful uh, motivation. That's a beautiful reason to get into PCC itself. Forget about credential. That itself is a beautiful accomplishment if you get to do that, because you have expanded your life. You have expanded who you are. And in any case, PCC has to integrate with your life, because in the PCC journey, who you are as a person is the focus of the entire journey. It's not so much about skills. It's not so much about doing, but it is way more about being. And who you are becoming is going to be useful in other areas of your life. So, in a sense, while having a credential is useful for business, but look at how it is going to impact your life in terms of who you're going to become and what that is going to mean to different stakeholders in your life. Yeah. The next thing to look out for is, like we have FOMO nowadays, we have peer pressure nowadays. Oh, I'm in this cohort, or my seniors, they finished in so and so, took only 2 years to finish and I'm still nowhere. This one finished in this much time. Or my all my peers are saying, come on, push through it. And I'm feeling very pressurized. I'm feeling very cornered, and they don't understand what I'm dealing in life. Their life is not the same as my life, which is true. Everybody has circumstances in their lives, right? We have a PCC learner, for instance, who had a ailing mother-in-law at home. So this person had to give geriatric care. And I don't know how many of you have experience of geriatric care. It can really take a toll on you. Absolutely take a toll on you, on your mental health, on your physical health. And so this person is like, I'm not able to be present for my client when I'm in a coaching session. How should I do a coaching session? So you shouldn't do a coaching session then. For sure, if your help is needed somewhere else and if your presence is required somewhere else, that's where it is required. So sometimes this takes a back seat, sometimes this takes a front seat, and that's how you will navigate. It'll never be in a steady. You know what goes in a steady state, right? Yeah. What does it indicate when there is a steady state? Do you know?
Death.
Yeah, absolutely, right? You don't want that. So there will be, there will be. How big or how many of them it's a sinusoidal curve, right? And how up and how down it is, sometimes is not in our control. So we need to adjust. We need to adjust ourselves to what is happening in our lives. So sure, take a break. I took a break recently, okay? So I'm into this physiotherapy program, and unless and until I'm at it, I have tremendous problems with my knees and walking, and I have all these things going on. And I'm like, I look at people walking on the road, and I'm like, wow, these people are walking. When will I be able to walk? Wow, this person is running. When will I be able to run? And the only solution for that is I have to work on my muscle gain, and I have to work on muscle strength, because that's what age does to you. That's the reality. Nobody can escape that. But I had to take 15 days off because I had other things going on in my life. And sure enough, when I went back after 15 days, I had regressed. So I had to go back, and whatever progress I had made, I had to restart from 3 steps down. But I didn't have to go back to zero. That's the good thing. I only had to take 3 steps down, and I'm now up again in no time. So this will happen to you when you're doing your PCC also. What will happen if you lose momentum? One thing, the first thing that needs to happen is, don't make yourself wrong. Don't say that, oh, you can't keep up the momentum and that is wrong. No, the momentum is lost. Regain it and move on. Any time is a good time to restart. That's what we say about so many things in life. Why don't we say that about PCC? Why is it treated so different? It's like anything else that we do in life. That's how I want you to look at it. Okay? Let me share with you what happened with me just yesterday. Okay? So I was totally overwhelmed. Okay? I had some 15, 20 things which I had to do, which appeared like equally important and urgent, and all totally different from each other. So it's not like, I can use the skills and knowledge of one to do the other. Totally different, including some personal, family, medical challenges and so on. And I was so overwhelmed and I was like a headless chicken. I called up somebody and I said, I have to talk because I don't know how I'm going to handle all of this. And I'm talking and talking and talking, and the person is asking questions and giving suggestions, and it's not working. At one point, this person stopped and said, "Wait, what did you want from me when you started talking?" I said, I don't do anything. I just want to talk. And I talked, I felt better. Today, I don't know how, but there is zero item on my to-do list as we're speaking. So it can happen. You will be overwhelmed. Don't try to handle it by yourself. There is nothing wrong in asking for help. There's nothing wrong in reaching out for whatever you need and contracting with that person, saying, "This is what I need from you," and get back. You don't have to, try to work everything out by yourself. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I had. How do I? Okay, so that I can see everybody. That was on the spotlight. Okay, let me hear from people what resonated with you, what did not resonate with you. What is it that you're struggling with? Is there something you're struggling with that has not been covered? Anything at all?
Hi, Rekha. Just Bharti here. Just
Yeah.
want to know that since the timelines that we were discussing about, somebody finished 2 years or 1 year or something, I want to
Mhm.
understand it is about the number of hours and there is no timeline, or I need more information regarding this.
ICF does not set any timelines.
Okay.
Okay. But you need to look at it this way that like anything that, like any language, for instance, okay, if we don't use the language, it becomes rusty, right?
Yes.
Or
Yep.
if you don't use a particular skill, it becomes rusty. So you need to keep your hand in. And once you keep your hand in with certain momentum, you will reach the finish line. Now, what should be your speed and what should be somebody else's speed? Should you be doing one session per week? Should you be doing 3 sessions per week, 10 sessions in a month? That cadence is for you to decide, and it's not a fixed thing. So you can change it. Nobody is going to tell you how you should do it. It's entirely up to you. That's the freedom you have, right? But if you leave it, if the gap becomes too much, and if you don't get back quickly, then inertia sets in and getting back becomes a struggle. So therefore, my not an advice, but my suggestion always is that don't keep too big a gap, minimize the gap, and have the gap only when life demands it. Not because I'm bored or I'm not interested or I'm not having the opportunity. Well, opportunities are something you have to find. We can always find opportunities for what we like to do. So there's no time limit for that. You have to have 500 hours under your belt, and you should have finished your
Okay.
training and your assignments, and that's it. And you should have your recordings cleared for you to apply for your credential. Does that answer your
Okay.
question, Bharti?
Yeah, I was just because we brought in certain things which is priority, and when you were taking a break, now I'm at ACC. So Subhash told me that it's good to finish by 1 year, within a year. That's good. So there is a momentum. So when we prioritize and we know something is important, that should be like a way of life. That PCC should be a way of life. Is there some guidelines within which, now that you told there is no time, that is kind of a thing you need to finish as per the specifics what it's expected of PCC. Now, do you is there something that normally, how with all the responsibilities that we have, that people can finish, say something, so that I can keep a kind of a like one year is something for ACC, so there is some track. So is there something in your experience that you can, suggest that it is 2 years or 3 years within which, with kind of responsibilities that everybody has, what could be the thing? 3 sessions per week or something suggestive. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay, so
So
2 years.
that we can aim at
Yeah, I get you.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming
Okay.
from. I am also like that. If somebody doesn't give me, or if I don't set any target date, I'll never finish it. Yeah. So if you say infinite time you have, I might actually never finish it. So
Yeah. Because
yeah, I get
yeah.
where you're coming from. I put generally timeline for myself. So 2 years, Bharti. 2 years is what
Yeah.
is. So 2 years is possible
Yeah.
if you do not have too many
Yeah.
ups
That is.
in your life. It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rika. That makes it thing, so that I can prioritize, because it is important. That's when we don't give up. So for
Sure.
me, it works like that. So if it is 2 years, I'll prioritize, because this has to be a way of life. This is a journey that I don't want to give up. So
Yeah.
2 years will be a good time. So I will plan it accordingly. That's what I wanted. Thank you so much.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Any other reflections, questions? Yeah, Geetika.
Okay, so, Rekha, in your experience, are there people who are able to finish it in 1 year as well, or
You
or
can,
can
so do the math, right? If you're saying 1 year, that means you're talking um, almost 2 sessions per day, or 1.5 sessions per day.
which is to
1 year you're saying, right?
accumulate the hours, the coaching hours.
Correct.
If I already have, I have almost 400 coaching hours,
Then of course you can finish in 1 year. No doubts about it.
so then it is possible. So it is basically for the coaching hours that we are looking at the number of
Yes.
months. Acha.
Yes.
Okay.
Because look at it this way, the training period, during training period also you're going to be accumulating number of hours, right? Now the
Yeah.
training period is going to be 1 year. So you're going to be accumulating those hours. You will, if you've already got 400, you will finish your training along with your coaching hours.
Okay.
And then that's it. After that you apply.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I will later also talk about when are the batches starting and all. I mean, whenever you think we
Sure.
could talk about that. If we have more questions, let that be over first.
Sure.
Uh, Hi Rekha, this is Vishakha.
Hi, Vishakha.
I just wanted to know, is there any like a validity or a time period, like for whenever I give the exam, my coaching hours, how old can they be? So why I'm asking this question is I have been on and off the track, and I do have coaching hours, but some of them are quite a few years back dated.
Yeah.
So I just want to know that if I go for certification now, will I be able to use those as?
So there is some number of hours that you need to have done in recent past, Vishakha, not all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a restriction like that. It's a good point because the competency that you demonstrated a few years ago and
Yeah.
now may not be the same. So you need to have recent experience of coaching also.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rekha, I have a question if I am okay to pick it up.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, You mentioned that there in that 1 year program of PCC, there
Mhm.
would be number of hours of coaching. What did you mean by saying that? Is it a peer coaching or is it on the work front that we are also experiencing, like how we have to do outside the thing? What is that thing? 1 year that we'll also be getting number of coaching hours. What does that mean?
It means that you will be coaching in that 1 year, right? Getting hours means you will
Okay.
be coaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the
Okay.
PCC journey, we generally recommend, very strongly recommend, I mean, we cannot insist, but we strongly recommend that large part of your coaching should come with non-peers.
Okay.
Because
So,
that is,
like how,
yeah, that is what will give you experience of being a professional coach.
yeah. So, this in ACC, that 40 hours that what we are doing. So, we keep continuing with that. So, whoever that we are able to uh, get the opportunity to coach and things like that. So, is that what that's the journey which will be in that 1 year as well? Or it is a structured program where there is different ways that we have to uh, do the coaching, or there is also a structure like that, is what I want to know.
No, there's no structure like that. The reason why I said 1 year is because the new PCC program is going to be, the training program is going to be for 1 year. And Geetika's question was, can one finish in 1 year? Right?
Okay.
So that her 1 year and the training 1 year was kind of mapped to each other. And so I said that while training is going on, you will also be coaching. And so you can finish it in 1 year.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
There is no structured program for coaching. There's only structured program for training.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
And the peer coaching is can be mapped as paid hours, right? If it is both ways.
It is, yeah, it is. It will be mapped as paid as per ICF guidelines, reciprocal coaching. But we suggest that you move away from that pattern a lot during PCC journey. One, then there is no dependency. Second, this whole thing of, working with peers doesn't give you real exposure to working with people who come with, oftentimes peers don't come with real issues. That's the complaint that people have, right? Which is not what will happen with people outside. One. Second, the muscle that you will build of staying with the process and demonstrating the competencies, working with people who do not know what the process is all about.
Yeah,
Yeah, which will give you a different level of competence altogether.
true. Yeah.
Kind of challenges will be different, but the experience also will be much richer.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And also, like when I applied for ACC and I was asked to keep a track of all the coaching hours and who and take permission from them and on email and all. But somehow it was never submitted anywhere. It was just with me in my list, my Excel sheet. How does it work for PCC? Do we have to show it in some way?
See, it's only locally shown, not to ICF because of GDPR requirements, right? The logs are not shared because you have confidential information about your clients.
Acha,
When
okay.
I did my PCC and MCC, I had to submit the coaching logs.
Acha, okay.
along with the details of the clients, their phone numbers, email IDs, whatever.
Okay.
Of course, I had taken permission for doing that from my clients.
Okay. But now we don't need to submit it to ICF
ICF,
anymore.
no.
Okay. Acha. Sure. If we also know how many years of coaching hours are eligible, then it becomes easy for us to calculate what do we need. So where could we get that information?
I will share that information. Subhash, you there? Okay. So the exact number, I don't know, but I know for sure that there is a number associated to how recent it should be. How many hours in how recent, period of time. I'll share with that separately.
Because that I hope that does not change my number of hours. That's what
No,
I'm.
since when have you been coaching?
So actively for about 5-6 years.
So that all counts. So what ICF says is that all the hours that you have accumulated from the time you started your first coach training
Acha.
count.
Okay. Oh, then it is fine. I mean, it started after that only
Yeah,
anyway.
but I was saying, if it was like 20 years ago or something like
Yeah.
that, then that would be too far.
Yes. After joining the Regal and then ACC, I mean, mostly after ACC. So
Oh yeah, definitely they will count.
during ACC, sure.
So Rekha, if I may,
Yes.
Srinath here. So Geetika, your clock starts the moment your training starts, right? So you had the ACC training, let's say starting 2024. Any coaching hour after that will we can be counted for your number of hours,
Yeah.
right? Also, a previous question. Please have all the records for your coaching log because they might take some for review. In which case, you might have to submit them to ICF.
Yeah. Thanks, Srinath, for that. So you need to have those logs anyway. We don't submit it at the time of application, but in case ICF says we want to audit with permission, then you might need to show those logs. It's not happened so far for any of us.
Not happening for
But
us
that's
so
a
far.
requirement. That's a requirement. Yeah. Thanks,
Right.
Shin.
So I have that on my Excel, so I keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing you do. I remember I was just sharing with some people that, for my MCC, I had taken 2 months just to collate the data because after my PCC, I had not maintained any logs and my data was all over the place in emails and here and there. And everything was ready, including my recordings. Simply because my data was not in place, I had to spend 2 months. That was crazy. Okay, we are at 7:15 and if there are no more questions, we can wind up. Anybody?
I wanted to ask about the next batch, and Sonia told me that there are 2 batches we start. One is starting now in July, and the other one will be starting in January, or before that also we have anything.
I'll let you know.
Sure.
That may not be of interest to everyone here. Can I tell you offline? Yeah. So Shuchi, you don't need to submit mentoring dates and details for PCC if you're getting a certificate from your coach educator. If the coach education provides mentoring hours, then that comes on the certificate. How many training hours and how many mentoring hours have you gone through? So that certificate is adequate. You don't need to give more details. But if you have got your coaching hours or training hours from some place which does not give you mentoring, and then if you have done your mentoring independently, then you need to provide mentoring details, dates, number of hours, and mentor name also separately. Yeah.
So, Rekha, in that regard, I wanted to ask this question. What you're saying is when we are doing this coaching outside, say, for example, I'm associated with an NGO where there is mental rehabilitation center. That's the reason that I joined also for life coach so that I can, there are many people who are rehabilitated and I want them to come into the mainstream and come out of that tunnel. So this might help, and I'm doing it while I'm practicing this coaching. So wanted to know that then in that log what you're talking, we have to put the community and also get that certificate from them, and also get mentor certificate from Regal. That's what you're saying?
Okay, so mentoring hours, Bharati, are part of coach education, which means that the criteria for credentialing is you should have covered so many hours
Okay.
of coach training, you should have covered so many
Okay.
hours of mentoring, and you should have done so
Okay.
many hours of coaching.
Okay.
Now, the what Shuchi was asking was about the mentoring hours.
Okay. Good.
Now, if you're doing the education with Regal, then
Okay.
Regal will give you a certificate which will mention the training hours as well as the mentoring hours.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you. So